Hi, Paul Howe, CSAT Way, Handgun Posture and Stimulus Response, Tactical Training Review. What we're going to do today is watch this video here, Nashville, coil splash it up full size, we get a little sound, a little light. This right here, it's hard to replicate in a training environment, but you can do it with sims to get a certain response. And we need to, when I say response, weapon posture. Now, problems I saw over the last couple of decades, we get special ops guys come out. Sometimes they don't understand the LE world. They train the SWAT folks train. It trickles down to training staffs, to the individual officers, and it's a cookie cutter weapon handling approach versus sometimes a thoughtful approach. So you've got active shooter response, high risk warrants, vehicle stops, foot pursuits, emotionally disturbed people, and then suspicious persons. Those are a few of the various situations that officers have to respond to. So pistol, rifles, pretty easy. If it's a rifle contact, it's authorized. Rifle's easier to shoot, lots of ammo. But the pistol is where I see a lot of the issues. And so when I say perception with the rifle, that'll be department, agency, whether it's justified or not. Because once you put the rifle on, you can't get it off. And there are some pros and cons to that we can talk about in another video. Now, LE under the biggest microscope right now. And we'll talk about how the whole system works. But civilians, it'd be good to follow the LE model. Military, not so much. I've never seen a JAG in the field, never seen a JAG at training. These are the folks that write the use of force. So there's some disconnects, and the mill gets away with a lot of stuff because you'll never hear about it or see about it, what really happens on the battlefield. Levels of scrutiny. So federal mill, they have lots of lawyers, we'll say, and lots of protection, umbrellas of protection. Now, state, they have more lawyers. When you get down to the local, you have a lot more, attorneys, microscope, different thought process, different areas. Austin is different than East Texas here, as far as being conservative or liberal. So you've got to look at that. The tracking, when we'll say tracking, patrol happens, firearm incident, you get an internal review, a DA, and it goes to court. And then a citizen incident, you get an LE review, DA, and court. So the court a lot of times says, hey, good, bad, and they redirect, and recalibration is needed sometimes. Now, training responsibility. You got to understand the different weapon postures and train those in an appropriate manner. So, law enforcement, you got your agency, they send a person to the academy, and then they come back to the agency and they get recalibrated sometimes from the academy. You've got FTOs, field training officers, that actually calibrate them some more. You get in service. And so there's a whole trail of tiers right there of training that needs to be calibrated. Now, church security, civilians, now most of the time are concealed carry. Teacher security, same thing, armed guardians. So the mill, I kind of stay away from, let them do their own thing in their own lane, because their rules of engagement are a lot different. And really what happens out in the field, and I've talked to a lot of soldiers over the years, a lot different than what's reported. So reality checks, the JAGs don't check on mill. I've never seen a JAG in my time come down and check on training. They'll write their quote use of force, but is what it is. DOJ prosecutors, I don't know. I've never heard or seen one of those folks come to training and they'll again write the use of force, but it's a disconnect. Local DAs, never seen a DA come to training or mentor or give feedback. So it usually ends up going to court. Court, they fix it from there, and it gets pushed back down the pipeline. They don't know what they don't know. It's okay. But again, and it might be a system. That's just the way the system works. But I think we can do better. What I did is I drafted up a matrix. This is really small, and it's still in the draft mode. And what I wanted to do is add 3 different positions: holster, high ready, Sewell, and say, all right, this situation happens. This is when your weapon goes to this different posture. And again, it might be agency dependent, state law dependent. States are going to be different. Austin is going to be different than East Texas or Dallas and maybe San Antonio. It should somewhat calibrate. A checklist like this would work for the individual officer. It also work for the FTO. It also work for the academy to have a simple matrix that they can understand what weapon posture is supposed to be in a certain situation. A patrol sergeant needs to know and rolls up on a situation, they need to know why guns are out or why guns are not out. And so this would calibrate everybody. And again, it might take a little bit of tweaking. I have LE side here. We have some folks from Illinois, some folks from Texas, and we have to kind of get on the same sheet of music for our, we'll say basic SWATs and our LE classes. And then when they go back to the host agency, then they have to conform. So trainers, got to understand that and re-engineer your training. So when we talk about flat range should go to your shoot house, to scenario-based training, few or no changes. And we have tons of video like this that you can use to preempt them in our mind and say, all right, here's the stimulus you're getting. What should your weapon posture be? And reaffirm it in the training. Now, you have to give them the different scenarios. This I got you type thought process in training and simulations is not good. You have to continually build. So give them all the different stimulus. All right, you're hearing active gunfire, innocent screaming, running from something, that they're in fear of. And that will help induce a certain weapon posture. Now, high ready, it's going to be the fastest shot. Immediate threat, muzzle orientation, lead shooter. What lead shooter means is if there's people in front of me in any of the worlds, I have to be in a neutral position with my weapon. They have priority shot if they're in front of me. So Sewell, I don't have an immediate threat. So lead shooter, again, if I've got folks in front of me, I need to be Sewell. Holster, that's your day-to-day. You're not sure. You're talking to people. And so break it down into simple carry positions and weapon positions to go to your flat range training. Now, how does stimulus translate to your weapon posture? Gunfire, tell them what position you want them in. Active threat has been neutralized and hey, subject's down. What weapon posture? Do you want them to keep the same weapon posture while they're clearing or go to a more neutral weapon posture? The searching will let you know what posture to revert to. So if it's an active threat, you may have a certain posture, or if the subject is down and you're clearing to find out where all your medical problems are, that's another weapon posture. Can you enter a room, Sewell position, two-person CQB with handguns? I'll leave it up to you to make a decision on this depending on the stimulus. Now, we've got high ready position. So normal high ready, when we start working it, is actually it's pointed almost at the ceiling. What's happening now with the red dots is you're having to bring your muzzle posture down a little bit more in line. So when you're coming in, you're actually pointing at people throughout your entry. So I like the high ready, elbows in, slightly elevated, dropping your front side into your rear. Now, Sewell, again, can you come in like this and work this on a flat range? Come in and roll to your high ready position. I think you can. Holster, if you don't have a threat or you're not sure, that might be a good place for your weapon. Now, calibration of trainers. Again, you've got to keep your stimulus in calibration with your use of force. So it's hard for me to pin all the rascals down in LE because, again, all the different training agencies, empires, and so you try to do it, but again, it's a never-ending process. What's good for LE, because it's been validated through the court system, will be generally good for civilians. So you've got to think through this. Now, people, that's what we're dealing with. and they're ground-based targets. So low ready, I'm not a big fan, but that's just me. If you use it, but it has to go back to the flat range, and there are some problems, and we'll talk about that. We've already ID'd that clearing to your sights is dangerous. We don't do that. Illinois has just come up with a great review of that and vision. So we don't recommend clearing to your sights, which we still see a lot of folks doing that. High ready, good for vision. Sewell safe for everyone. Good guys, innocence. Holster, more forgiving, and day-to-day accepted carry. Always, this is where, for one example, people are ground-based targets. We start working low ready. Bullet will skip on that type floor, and it will impact whatever medium that it runs into. So here, we've got everything from hostages, down bad guys. We use dummies sometimes, but we want you to think big picture on weapon posture moving through this. And again, think about, we talk about pointing weapons, not pointing weapons. How are you going to approach different scenarios? Now, technology. This is one of the bigger issues. Is we have body cams now, and on officers, and now they also have attachments on their holsters. When that pistol comes out, activates their body cam. So if they draw it, they might have to write a use of force that day. So they're already being videoed during the incident. And then the camera systems out there, from everything from schools to outside buildings, if you're a civilian, may catch you, and what you think you're doing may be different than what actually happens, because the camera will not lie. And what you have to do is kind of understand that ahead of time and really know what you're going to do with your weapon posture and when you're going to apply different carry methods. So, gun out thoughts. If you're static security, the situation was resolved. You want to go Sewell, you want to go holster. Covering a door, active shooter response. If the threat's in progress, you may be high ready. You may be Sewell position. You may be backed off from that area. Again, vehicle stops. You've got your hot stops, your high risk, and your threat areas. Sometimes you have officers that are looking out because the area is dangerous, not so much the contact or the traffic stop. Now, how are you training for the test? Your flat range standards, do they include high ready Sewell holster? Looking at this right now, I may change one of my pistol standards to do a Sewell position and start a shot from a Sewell position, because I think it's important. Weapon handling, discrimination, always use. We've got to somewhat pre-program them on a flat range for the shoot house and then to scenarios. Discrimination, haven't changed that. And I want to thank you guys for watching, but it's an area I think it needs to be addressed and simplified for that officer on the street, that new officer on the street. We don't want to write up in big academic paragraphs, I guess, that they have to really sift through to find the data they need. So used to get ROE write-ups that were, page and a half long. And again, we need to simplify it for the guy or gal on the street, or the church security, teacher guardian, and then they can make really simple tactical decisions based on the data we as trainers provide for them. So hope this helps. You take care, be safe. Hope to catch you on the range. All right, Paul Howe, CSAT Way. If you like our videos, we have a Mighty Network webpage, and over 400 and probably 60 to 70 videos on it right now. Everything from operator level to instructor level. So if you want to continue your training and you can't make it to the range, this site is available. Hope you like it. Give us feedback, because we're always trying to make it a little better. It's organized, structured, just like we'd run a shooting course. So appreciate you guys watching. You take care, be safe. Hope to catch you on the range or in a class.